Hey, warrior, listen to me for a moment. Right now, in this exact second, there's a battle happening inside you. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that gnawing sense that something's not right. You wake up, and the world immediately pulls you in 1,000 directions. Your phone screams for attention. Your mind races with worry about what people think. Your heart carries the weight of things you can't control. And somewhere deep inside, beneath all that noise, there's a voice asking you a question you're terrified to answer. Am I wasting my life? Epictetus, a man who spent years as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, understood this battle better than anyone. He said something that should shake you to your core. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that. Everything you're struggling with right now, every anxiety, every frustration, every moment of feeling powerless, it's not because the world is against you. It's because you haven't learned the truth. You haven't learned that the only thing you truly control is yourself. Here's what nobody wants to tell you. We live in a world designed to make you weak, designed to make you reactive, designed to make you a slave to your emotions, your impulses, your need for comfort and validation. You scroll through endless content that means nothing. You chase pleasures that disappear the moment you taste them. You run from pain like it's your enemy when it's actually your greatest teacher. You've been conditioned to believe that happiness comes from outside circumstances, from getting what you want, from avoiding what you don't want. And that conditioning is destroying you from the inside out. The ancient Stoics knew something we've forgotten. They knew that true power doesn't come from controlling the world around you. It comes from mastering the world within you. They understood that suffering isn't caused by events themselves, but by our judgments about those events. They discovered that the path to an unshakable life isn't found in comfort or safety or approval. It's found in discipline, in clarity, in accepting what is while working to become who you're meant to be. So I'm asking you right now, are you ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances? Are you ready to build a mind so strong that nothing can shake it? Are you ready to live with such purpose and control that external events lose their power over you? Because if you are, then keep listening. This isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to comfort you, but it will transform you. Now let me be clear about something. This message is not for everyone. Most people will click away because they're not ready to hear the truth. They'd rather stay comfortable in their illusions, blaming the world for their problems, waiting for life to get easier. But you're still here. That tells me something. That tells me there's still a fire burning inside you, a fire that refuses to accept mediocrity, a fire that knows you're capable of more. This video is for you. This is for the warrior who's tired of being controlled by fear and emotion. This is for the person who's ready to reclaim their power. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn 10 Stoic principles that will fundamentally change how you experience life. Not just concepts to think about, but truths to live by. Principles that Epictetus himself practiced. Principles that turned slaves into philosophers and ordinary people into unshakable forces of nature. These aren't quick fixes or motivational lies. These are ancient laws of inner strength that have survived thousands of years because they work. They worked in ancient Rome. They worked in prison camps. They worked in the darkest moments of human history. And they'll work for you right now in whatever battle you're facing. But I need you to understand something before we begin. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch this entire video, nod along, feel inspired for 5 minutes, and then go back to the same patterns that have been keeping you weak. Or you can decide right now that something changes today, that you're going to take these principles and actually apply them, that you're going to become the kind of person who cannot be shaken. The choice is yours. It's always been yours. Number 1, you only control your mind, nothing else. This is the foundation of everything. Listen carefully. You don't control whether you get the job. You don't control whether that person loves you back. You don't control the economy, the weather, other people's opinions, or even your own body's inevitable decline. You control one thing and one thing only: your mind, your thoughts, your perceptions, your responses. That's it. And that's everything. Epictetus put it this way: we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control things they have no power over, and then they wonder why they're miserable. They stress about things that haven't happened. They replay conversations from the past. They try to force people to change. They rage against reality itself. And all of that energy, all of that suffering, is completely wasted. Think about your own life right now. How much time do you spend worrying about things outside your control? How often do you let external events dictate your internal state? Someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly your whole morning is ruined. A comment on social media triggers you, and you can't stop thinking about it. Your plans fall through, and you spiral into frustration. You've given your power away. You've made yourself a prisoner to circumstances. The Stoic approach is radically different. It says, focus only on what you control. Your effort, not the outcome. Your character, not your reputation. Your response, not the situation. When you truly internalize this, when you stop fighting reality and start mastering yourself, everything changes. You become unshakable because your peace doesn't depend on external conditions anymore. It depends on you. Here's what this looks like in practice. You don't get the promotion you worked for. The average person collapses into bitterness and self-pity. The Stoic asks, did I give my best effort? Did I grow in the process? What can I learn? Then they move forward. Someone criticizes you unfairly. The average person either lashes out or internalizes the attack. The Stoic recognizes that other people's opinions are outside their control, examines whether there's truth to learn from, and releases what doesn't serve them. A relationship ends. The average person drowns in grief and resentment. The Stoic feels the pain, accepts what happened, and focuses on who they're becoming through the loss. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being free. Free from the tyranny of circumstances. Free from the prison of needing things to be different than they are. You can't control the storm, but you can control your response to it. You can't control failure, but you can control whether you learn from it or let it define you. You can't control death, but you can control how you live knowing it's coming. Start today. Every time you feel stress or frustration rising, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, practice letting it go. If it is, focus all your energy there. Train your mind to distinguish between what you can influence and what you can't. This is the first law of inner strength. This is where your transformation begins. Type this below if you understand. I control my mind, nothing else. Let me see it. Number 2, emotions are judgments, not facts. Here's a truth that will change everything if you let it. Your emotions are not happening to you. They're happening because of you, because of the judgments you're making about what's happening. This is one of the most powerful and most misunderstood Stoic principles. Your anger isn't caused by what someone did. It's caused by your belief that they shouldn't have done it. Your anxiety isn't caused by the future. It's caused by your judgment that something bad might happen. Your sadness isn't caused by loss itself. It's caused by your interpretation that you can't be okay without what you lost. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. At any moment, you have the power to change how you're interpreting what's happening. You have the power to examine your judgments and decide whether they're serving you. Now, the modern world teaches the exact opposite. It teaches you that your feelings are sacred, that if you feel something it must be valid and true, that your emotions are who you are. And because of this lie, people become slaves to their emotional reactions. They let anger control their actions. They let fear dictate their choices. They let sadness convince them that life isn't worth living. They're drowning in feelings they never learned to question. But you're not your emotions. You're the awareness observing them. You're the mind that can step back and examine why you're feeling what you're feeling. And when you do that, when you trace the emotion back to its source, you'll find a judgment, a belief, an interpretation of reality. And judgments can be changed. Let me give you an example. Someone disrespects you in public. Immediately, you feel rage. But what's really happening? It's not the words themselves causing the rage. It's your judgment that you've been diminished, that your worth has been attacked, that you need to defend your ego. A Stoic recognizes this. They see the judgment forming, and they choose differently. They recognize that another person's words can't actually diminish their worth unless they allow it. They realize that responding with anger only proves they're controlled by external opinions. They maintain their composure not by suppressing emotion, but by refusing the judgment that creates it. Or take anxiety. You're worried about a presentation tomorrow. Your hands are shaking. Your mind is racing with worst-case scenarios. But anxiety isn't being caused by tomorrow's presentation. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. The anxiety is caused by your judgment that you might fail, that failure would be catastrophic, that your value depends on others' approval. Challenge those judgments. Ask yourself, is failure actually catastrophic, or is it just uncomfortable? Will my value as a person really change based on one presentation? What's the worst that actually happens? When you question the beliefs fueling the emotion loses its grip. This doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you become powerful. You still feel, but you're not controlled by feelings. You still respond to life, but you respond with clarity instead of reactivity. You experience emotions, but you don't let them make your decisions for you. The practice is simple but profound. When a strong emotion arises, pause. Don't act on it immediately. Don't trust it as truth. Instead, examine it. Ask, what judgment am I making right now? What belief is creating this feeling? Is that belief actually true? Is there another way to see this situation? You'll be shocked how often your emotions are based on interpretations you never consciously chose, beliefs you absorbed from others, fears that aren't grounded in reality. Seneca said it perfectly. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your mind creates most of your suffering by judging neutral events as terrible, by catastrophizing, by assuming the worst, by believing that discomfort equals disaster. Question those judgments, replace them with truth, and watch your emotional life transform. Comment this if you're committed. My emotions don't control me. I control them. Number 3. Practice negative visualization. This principle disturbs people at first, but it's one of the most powerful tools the Stoics developed for inner peace. Negative visualization means deliberately imagining losing what you have, imagining the worst happening, contemplating your own death. And here's why it works. When you regularly face your fears in your mind, they lose their power over you. When you accept that loss is inevitable, you stop living in desperate attachment. When you acknowledge mortality, you start actually living. Epictetus taught his students to practice this daily. Look at someone you love and remind yourself they're mortal. They could be gone tomorrow. Look at your possessions and remember they're temporary. They could be lost at any moment. Think about your health, your career, your home, everything you take for granted, and acknowledge the truth. None of it is guaranteed. Nothing lasts forever. Now, most people hear this and think it's morbid or pessimistic. They think you're supposed to walk around depressed, obsessing over tragedy. That's not it at all. Negative visualization isn't about being miserable. It's about being prepared. It's about removing the shock and devastation that comes when loss inevitably happens. It's about appreciating what you have right now, in this moment, because you've accepted that it won't always be here. Think about how most people live. They take everything for granted. Their health until they get sick, their loved ones until they're gone, their opportunities until they disappear. They live in this fantasy that things will always be this way, that they have unlimited time, that loss won't touch them. And then, when reality hits, when change comes, when death arrives, they're completely destroyed. They never prepared. They never accepted. They never truly appreciated what they had while they had it. The Stoic does the opposite. Every morning, they contemplate impermanence. They imagine their partner not coming home. They visualize their business failing. They consider their own death today without warning. And this practice doesn't make them sad. It makes them grateful. It makes them present. It makes them cherish what exists right now instead of taking it for granted. It removes the illusion of permanence that creates so much suffering. I want you to try this. Right now, think of someone you love. Picture their face. Now imagine getting a call that they're gone. Really feel that. Don't run from it. Sit with the reality that this will happen someday. You will lose them, or they will lose you. That's not pessimism. That's truth. Now, with that awareness, how do you want to treat them today? What do you want to say? How do you want to show up? Negative visualization doesn't make you love less. It makes you love better. It makes you love like someone who knows time is limited. The same applies to everything. Imagine losing your job, your home, your money, your health, everything you cling to for security. Feel the fear. Then ask yourself, would I actually survive? Could I rebuild? Would I still have value as a person? The answer is always yes. You're more resilient than you think. You can handle more than you know. And when you've faced the worst in your mind, reality becomes easier to handle. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He'd remind himself every morning, "When you wake up, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Not because he was cynical, but because he was prepared. He didn't expect the world to be perfect, so he wasn't shattered when it wasn't. He accepted reality in advance. Here's what happens when you practice this regularly. You stop living in fear of loss because you've already accepted it. You stop avoiding difficult truths because you've already faced them. You stop being fragile because you've mentally prepared for hardship. And, paradoxically, by accepting that everything is temporary, you enjoy everything more. You savor the meal because you know hunger could return. You appreciate the sunshine because you've acknowledged the storm. You treasure the moment because you know it's fleeting. This is memento mori. Remember, you must die. Not to be depressed, but to be alive. To stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. To stop taking loved ones for granted. To stop living like you have forever when you have right now. Practice this tonight. Before you sleep, visualize losing one thing you currently have. Sit with that discomfort. Accept the impermanence. Then open your eyes and appreciate that you still have it. Do this regularly and watch how your relationship with life transforms. Right below, I accept impermanence and live fully now. Number 4, turn obstacles into fuel. Here's where Stoicism becomes pure power. Most people see obstacles as problems, as things that shouldn't be happening, as evidence that life is against them. The Stoic sees obstacles as exactly what they needed, as opportunities, as the very thing that will make them stronger. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Think about what that means. The thing blocking your path is actually the path. The challenge you're facing isn't delaying your growth. It is your growth. The difficulty you're trying to avoid is precisely the teacher you need. This isn't just positive thinking or reframing. This is a fundamental shift in how you relate to resistance. Look at nature. A tree doesn't curse the wind. The wind makes it stronger, forces its roots deeper, builds its resilience. A river doesn't complain about the rocks in its path. It flows around them, carves through them, uses them to create its unique course. The obstacle isn't the enemy. The obstacle is the sculptor. It's what shapes you into who you're meant to become. But we've been conditioned to seek the easy path, to avoid discomfort, to see struggle as failure. We want success without sacrifice, strength without suffering, growth without growing pains. And that's a fantasy that keeps us weak, because the truth is, you don't build muscle without resistance. You don't develop character without challenge. You don't discover what you're made of until you're tested. Every person you admire, every figure of strength and wisdom and achievement, they all have one thing in common. They faced obstacles and transformed them. They didn't have easy lives. They had difficult lives that they refused to let break them. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and emerged without bitterness, using that experience to build compassion and vision. Viktor Frankl survived concentration camps and turned that suffering into insights that helped millions. Epictetus himself was a slave, his body broken, and he became one of history's greatest teachers of freedom. The obstacle is not your enemy. Your perception of the obstacle is your enemy. Your belief that it shouldn't be there, that you're entitled to an easier path, that difficulty means something's wrong. That's what's defeating you. Change that belief and everything changes. Here's how you practice this. The next time something goes wrong, pause. Don't immediately react with frustration or victimhood. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this making me stronger? What opportunity exists within this challenge? You lose your job. Devastating, right? Or is it the push you needed to pursue what you actually care about? Is it teaching you resilience? Is it showing you what you're made of? A relationship betrays you. Crushing, absolutely. But is it also freeing you from something that wasn't right? Is it teaching you discernment? Is it revealing your own strength? I'm not saying pain isn't real. I'm not saying suffering doesn't hurt. I'm saying that your response to suffering determines whether it destroys you or develops you. The Stoics understood that we can't control what happens, but we can control what we make it mean. We can choose to see obstacles as obstacles, or we can choose to see them as training. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." You want a strong mind? Then stop running from difficulty. Stop praying for an easier life. Start praying for a stronger you. Start seeing every challenge as the gym for your character, every frustration as a test of your patience, every setback as a lesson in persistence, every loss as an initiation into wisdom. The warrior mentality isn't about never facing obstacles. It's about facing obstacles and saying, "Is that all you've got?" It's about getting knocked down and using that momentum to spring back up. It's about taking every blow and transforming it into fuel. The fire that's meant to burn you down becomes the forge that makes you unbreakable. So stop asking why this is happening you. Start asking what this is teaching you. Stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. Start seeing yourself as a student of life. The obstacle isn't in your way. It is the way. It's the exact challenge you need to become who you're capable of being. And here's the beautiful part. When you start living like this, when you genuinely embrace obstacles as opportunities, you become fearless. Because if everything that happens can be used for your growth, then what is there to fear? Failure teaches. Pain strengthens. Loss clarifies. Betrayal reveals. Every single thing that happens can be transformed into wisdom, into power, into depth. Comment your commitment. Obstacles make me stronger, not weaker. Number 5. Live according to nature. This principle is often misunderstood, so listen carefully. Living according to nature doesn't mean going to live in the woods or rejecting civilization. It means aligning yourself with reality, with how things actually are, not how you wish they were. It means accepting your nature as a rational being capable of virtue and excellence. It means flowing with the natural order instead of fighting against it. Epictetus taught that we are part of a larger whole, a cosmic order, and our job is to play our part with excellence. We're not separate from nature. We're expressions of it. And when we resist our role, when we fight against reality, when we demand that the universe bend to our preferences, we create our own suffering. Think about the peace that comes from acceptance, not passive resignation, but active acceptance of what is. The weather is the weather. Other people are who they are. Time moves forward. Bodies age. Seasons change. These are natural processes. Fighting them is insanity. Accepting them is wisdom. Most people spend their entire lives resisting reality. They want to be younger. They want things they don't have. They want people to be different. They want the past to change. They exhaust themselves fighting against the natural flow of existence. And then they wonder why they're miserable. Living according to nature means recognizing your role as a human being. You're not here to chase endless pleasure. You're not here to avoid all discomfort. You're here to develop your capacity for reason, virtue, and contribution. You're here to become the best version of what a human can be, and that means discipline, growth, facing challenges, contributing to something larger than yourself. It also means accepting your mortality. You're going to die. Your time is limited. That's not a problem to solve. That's reality to accept. And once you accept it, once you stop pretending you have forever, you start living with urgency and purpose. You stop wasting time. You stop delaying what matters. You start showing up fully because you know the clock is ticking. Living according to nature means accepting that you'll face hardship. That's part of being alive. You'll experience loss, pain, disappointment, failure, not because you're cursed, but because you're human. These experiences are natural. Fighting against them, believing you shouldn't have to experience them, that creates suffering on top of pain. But here's the freedom. When you accept what is, when you align with nature instead of resisting it, you find peace in the midst of chaos. You stop expecting life to be fair. You stop demanding guarantees. You stop living in this constant state of disappointment that reality isn't meeting your preferences. You work with what is. You adapt. You flow. The Stoics observed nature constantly. They saw that everything in nature has its season, growth and decay, rise and fall, creation and destruction. All of it natural, all of it necessary, and they applied that wisdom to their own lives. When winter comes, you don't curse it. You prepare. You adapt. You find the beauty and purpose in it. Same with the winters of your life. Start practicing this today. Notice when you're fighting reality. Notice when you're saying this shouldn't be happening, or why is this so hard, or it's not fair. Those thoughts are symptoms of resisting nature. Replace them with acceptance. This is what's happening. What now? How do I respond? What's the wise action? This isn't giving up. This is getting real. This is working with life instead of against it. And living according to your nature as a rational being means developing yourself. It means reading, learning, training your mind, building virtue. It means not settling for mediocrity. Just because it's comfortable, you have the capacity for greatness, for wisdom, for contribution, for excellence. Not using that capacity, not developing it, that's the real tragedy. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, still spent every day working on himself, still studying philosophy, still examining his character, still trying to become better, because he understood that his nature as a human being demanded growth, demanded effort, demanded the pursuit of virtue. You're part of something larger than yourself. Act like it. Your life has meaning because you give it meaning through your choices and actions. Your time matters because it's limited. Your character defines you more than any external achievement. Live according to these truths and you'll find a peace that circumstances can't touch. Write this below. I accept reality and live with purpose. Number 6, focus on the present moment. Right now is all you have. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Right now. This breath, this moment, this choice. Everything else is either memory or imagination. The past is gone and can't be changed. The future hasn't arrived and might never come. But this moment, right here, this is where your power lives. This is where your life actually happens. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Read that carefully. Anxious dependence on the future. That's where most people live. They're constantly somewhere else. planning, worrying, fantasizing, waiting for some future moment when things will finally be better, when they'll finally be happy, when life will finally start. And in doing so, they miss the only life they actually have. Or they're stuck in the past, replaying old conversations, nursing old wounds, clinging to old glory, regretting old choices. They're haunted by what was instead of present to what is. And all that mental energy spent on what can't be changed is energy stolen from what can be. The Stoic practice is radical presence, being fully here, giving your complete attention to this moment, this task, this person in front of you, not scattered, not distracted, not half here and half somewhere else, fully present, because that's the only place where life exists. That's the only place where you can actually act. Think about your typical day. How often are you actually here? You're eating, but thinking about work. You're with loved ones, but checking your phone. You're working, but worried about something that might happen. You're exercising, but your mind is racing through tomorrow's schedule. You're physically present, but mentally absent. You're alive, but not living. And this constant mental time travel creates suffering. When you're worrying about the future, you're experiencing fear about things that haven't happened and might never happen. When you're dwelling on the past, you're experiencing pain about things that are already over. Meanwhile, the present moment, the only moment that actually exists, is being wasted. Here's the practice. Bring your attention back, over and over. Whenever you notice your mind has wandered into past or future, gently return it to now. What are you doing right now? Be there completely. What do you see, hear, feel right now? Be present to it. Who are you with right now? Give them your full attention. This is harder than it sounds because we're addicted to mental escape. We're addicted to distraction. We've trained ourselves to always be somewhere else, consuming content, planning, worrying, anything but fully experiencing this moment. Breaking that pattern takes practice. It takes discipline. But the reward is immense. When you're fully present, anxiety decreases, because anxiety lives in the future. When you're fully present, regret decreases, because regret lives in the past. When you're fully present, you perform better, because your full attention is on what you're doing. When you're fully present, you connect deeper, because you're actually there with people. When you're fully present, you experience more joy, because joy exists in the now. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, confine yourself to the present. Not because the future doesn't matter, but because the present is where you build the future. Not because the past is irrelevant, but because you can only learn from it and act now. Every moment spent lost in time is a moment you're not living. And here's something powerful. When you're fully present, most problems disappear, because most of your suffering isn't about what's actually happening right now. It's about what you're thinking might happen or what you think happened. Right now, in this exact moment, are you okay? Is there an actual problem requiring immediate action? Or is there just a mind creating problems through thoughts about other times? Practice this throughout your day. When you're walking, actually walk. Feel your body moving. Notice your surroundings. When you're eating, actually taste the food. When you're talking to someone, look at them. Listen to them. Be there. When you're working, pour yourself into the work. One thing, full attention. Then the next thing, full attention. This is how you reclaim your life from the tyranny of time. You stop living in the phantom zones of past and future. You start living in reality, in the eternal now, where your power is, where your life is, where you actually exist. Comment this truth: I am here now, fully alive in this moment. Number 7. Practice voluntary discomfort. Here's a practice that separates those who just read philosophy from those who live it. Voluntary discomfort means deliberately choosing hardship when you don't have to, training in difficulty, denying yourself comfort intentionally, not because you're punishing yourself, but because you're strengthening yourself. The ancient Stoics did this regularly. Seneca would sleep on a hard floor, eat simple food, wear old clothes, not out of poverty, but out of practice. He was training himself not to need luxury. He was proving to himself that he could be happy with less. He was removing the fear of losing comfort by voluntarily experiencing discomfort. Why does this matter? Because comfort makes you weak. The more you need things to be easy, the more fragile you become. The more you depend on external conditions for your peace, the more vulnerable you are. Life will take things from you. Guaranteed. If you've never practiced being without, you'll be devastated when loss comes. But if you've already voluntarily experienced hardship, if you've already proven to yourself that you can handle difficulty, then when involuntary hardship arrives, you're ready. Think about modern life. We're surrounded by comfort, temperature-controlled environments, entertainment on demand, food delivered, every convenience imaginable. And all that comfort is creating a generation of people who can't handle the slightest discomfort, who melt down when things get hard, who need everything to be easy or they can't function. The Stoic does the opposite. They train in difficulty on purpose. They take cold showers to build mental toughness. They fast to prove they're not controlled by hunger. They exercise past comfort to develop discipline. They sit in silence instead of constantly consuming entertainment. They choose the harder path, sometimes just to stay sharp. This isn't masochism. This is training. This is maintaining your edge. This is ensuring that comfort doesn't make you soft. Because here's the truth. Easy times don't prepare you for hard times. Hard times prepare you for hard times. And if you never voluntarily experience hard times, you'll be crushed when they inevitably arrive. I want you to understand the mental shift this creates. When you regularly practice discomfort, you develop confidence, real confidence. Not based on everything being perfect, but based on knowing you can handle imperfection. You're not afraid of losing comfort because you've already practiced being uncomfortable. You're not terrified of hardship because you've already voluntarily endured it. Marcus Aurelius, with all the luxury of an empire at his disposal, chose to live simply. He chose to sleep in military camps with his soldiers. He chose difficulty when he could have chosen ease, because he understood that true power comes from needing nothing, from being able to be happy regardless of circumstances. Start small. Take a cold shower tomorrow morning. Feel the resistance. Do it anyway. Skip a meal and sit with the hunger. Notice how your mind dramatizes the discomfort. Fast from your phone for a day. Experience the addiction, the compulsive reaching for distraction. Sit in silence for an hour with nothing to do. Face the restlessness. Exercise until it hurts. Push past the first urge to quit. Every time you voluntarily choose discomfort, you're sending a message to yourself. I'm stronger than my circumstances. I don't need things to be easy. I can handle hard. And that message, repeated over and over, builds a foundation of inner strength that nothing can shake. This also breaks attachment. when you regularly practice having less, you appreciate more, but need less. You enjoy comfort when it's available, but you're not enslaved to it. You can live well with luxury or without it. That's freedom. Real freedom. Not based on having everything you want, but based on not needing anything to be happy. The world will try to make you soft. Comfort is everywhere. Convenience is seductive. Ease is addictive. But every time you choose ease when you could choose challenge, you're weakening yourself. Every time you avoid discomfort when you could face it, you're training yourself to be fragile. Stop running from hard things. Start running toward them. See difficulty as your gym. See discomfort as your teacher. See the voluntary experience of hardship as the price of becoming unbreakable. Type below if you're ready. I choose discomfort to build unshakable strength. Number 8. Your opinion is your power. Listen closely to this one because it's where real freedom lives. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." Your opinion about what happens is more important than what actually happens. Your interpretation determines your experience. And here's the revolutionary part. You control your interpretation. Always. Someone insults you. That's just words. Sounds coming from their mouth. Your opinion that those words diminish you, that creates the pain. Traffic makes you late. That's just circumstances. Your opinion that being late is a catastrophe, that creates the stress. You lose money. That's just numbers changing. Your opinion about what that means for your worth and security, that creates the suffering. See what's happening. The events themselves are neutral. They just are. You're the one adding meaning. You're the one interpreting. You're the one deciding what it means and how to feel about it. And if you have that power, if you're creating your experience through your opinions, then you can change your experience by changing your opinions. Most people never question their opinions. They never examine the beliefs and interpretations they're carrying around. They just react. Something happens, and immediately they slap an opinion on it. This is terrible. This is unfair. This shouldn't be happening. And then they suffer from their own unexamined judgments. The Stoic does something different. They pause, they examine, they ask, what opinion am I forming about this? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is there another way to see this? They take ownership of their interpretive power instead of being unconscious slaves to automatic reactions. Here's a practical example. You're stuck in traffic. Immediate opinion. This is terrible. I'm going to be late. This is ruining my day. That opinion creates frustration, stress, maybe anger. But what if you questioned it? What if you chose a different opinion? This is an opportunity to practice patience, to listen to a podcast, to simply breathe and be present. Same traffic, different opinion, different experience. You get rejected. Immediate opinion. I'm not good enough. I failed. I'm worthless. That opinion creates shame and despair. Alternative opinion. This particular opportunity wasn't right for me. Rejection is redirection. This is data to learn from. Same rejection. Different opinion. Different impact. This is your power. Not to control events, but to control what you make events mean. Not to change what happens, but to change your relationship with what happens. When you truly grasp this, when you take full ownership of your interpretive power, you become free, because your peace no longer depends on circumstances being a certain way. It depends on you choosing empowering opinions about whatever circumstances arise. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore reality or pretend bad things are good. It means you see things clearly without adding unnecessary suffering through your opinions. Someone dies. That's loss. Real loss. You don't need to add the opinion that you can't survive it or that life is now meaningless. You can grieve while also holding the opinion that you'll honor them by living well, that love persists even when they're gone, that this is the natural cycle you knew would come. The untrained mind is at the mercy of automatic opinions. Something happens, and boom, instant interpretation, usually negative. The trained Stoic mind examines opinions, chooses them consciously, replaces ones that create unnecessary suffering with ones that serve growth and peace. Start practicing this today. When something triggers you, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what opinion am I forming about this? Write it down. Then ask, is this the only way to see this? What's another opinion I could choose? What interpretation would serve me better? This isn't about positive thinking or denial. This is about conscious choice, about owning your interpretive power. Seneca put it perfectly. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. When trials come, you could hold the opinion that you're being punished, or you could hold the opinion that you're being polished. Same trial, radically different experience. Your opinion is your power. Use it wisely. Question your automatic interpretations. Choose perspectives that empower instead of perspectives that enslave. And watch how your entire experience of life transforms, not because circumstances change, but because you change how you relate to circumstances. Write this commitment. I choose my opinions consciously and wisely. Number 9. Detach from outcomes. Commit to process. This is where so many people trap themselves in suffering. They become obsessed with outcomes they can't control. They need the specific result. They demand things turn out a certain way. And when outcomes don't match their expectations, they collapse. They see themselves as failures. They give up. The Stoic approach is radically different. Commit fully to the process. Give everything to what you can control, your effort, your preparation, your discipline, your character. Then detach from the outcome. Do your absolute best and release the result. Epictetus taught, demand not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. This isn't passivity. This is wisdom. You control your actions, not their results. You control your input, not the output. Pour yourself into what you can control and let go of what you can't. Think about an athlete. They train for years. They give everything. Then on game day, they execute their process. But the outcome, that involves opponents, referees, luck, variables beyond their control. If they're attached to winning, they're setting themselves up for potential devastation. But if they're committed to their process, to showing up and performing their best regardless of outcome, they maintain their peace and power. Apply this to your life. You're applying for a job. The outcome, whether you get it, involves countless factors you don't control. Other candidates, timing, budget decisions, internal politics, things you'll never even know about. If your peace depends on getting that specific job, you're in trouble. But if you commit to preparing thoroughly, presenting your best self, learning from the experience, and detaching from whether you get it, you remain powerful regardless of outcome. You're building a business. You can control your effort, your strategy, your persistence, your learning. You cannot control the market, the economy, competitors, customer behavior, countless variables. If you attach your identity to the business succeeding, you're building on sand. But if you commit to the process of building, learning, adapting, and growing, regardless of outcome, you remain unshakable. This is how you maintain motivation without attachment. You care deeply about your effort. You don't care as deeply about specific outcomes. You understand that if you consistently execute excellent process, good outcomes tend to follow. But even when they don't, you haven't failed. You've shown up. You've grown. You've maintained your integrity. Marcus Aurelius lived this. He had the responsibility of an empire, countless outcomes beyond his control, wars, plagues, political intrigue. He couldn't guarantee victory. He couldn't ensure prosperity, but he could guarantee his own effort and character. So that's where he focused. He did what was right, what was wise, what was within his power. Then he accepted whatever resulted. The trap of outcome attachment is, it makes you desperate, needy. When you need a specific result, you start compromising your process, cutting corners, manipulating, anxious. You're operating from fear rather than excellence. But when you're detached from outcomes, committed only to process, you're free to perform at your best. Relaxed but focused. Invested but not attached. Here's the practice. Before any important endeavor, define your process. What will you control? How will you prepare? What standards will you maintain? What's excellent execution regardless of result? Then commit to that, completely. Do it with everything you have. And when the outcome arrives, whatever it is, you can hold your head high. You showed up. You gave your best. That's victory. That's all you control. If the outcome is favorable, great. Receive it with gratitude, but not with attachment. It could change. If the outcome is unfavorable, that's okay too. Learn from it. Adjust your process. Stay committed. You didn't fail. You participated fully in life, and life responded in its way. Stop measuring your worth by outcomes you don't control. Start measuring it by the process you do control. Did you show up? Did you give your best? Did you maintain your character? Did you grow? These questions matter more than any external result. Comment your commitment. I control my process, not my outcomes. Number 10. Live as if you are dying. This is it. The final principle. The one that ties everything together. Memento mori. Remember you must die. Not someday, not eventually, now. Today could be your last. This conversation could be your last. This breath could be your last. Live like it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, to cut through all the bullshit, all the pettiness, all the wasted time, all the false priorities. When you truly internalize your mortality, when you live with death on your shoulder, everything clarifies. Right now, you're dying. Every second that passes, you have less time. Your life is being spent. The question is, are you spending it on what matters? Are you being who you want to be? Are you saying what needs to be said? Are you loving the people you love? Or are you wasting your precious, limited time on distractions, on resentments, on fears, on things that won't matter when you're looking back from your deathbed? Most people live like they have forever. They put things off. They hold grudges. They waste days on meaningless entertainment. They delay the conversation. They stay in situations they hate. They don't pursue their dreams. They take people for granted. And they do all of this because somewhere deep down, they believe they'll always have more time. But they won't. You won't. None of us will. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You have enough time for what matters, but only if you stop squandering it on what doesn't. And the fastest way to clarity about what matters is to remember you're going to die. Imagine you found out today was your last day. What would matter? Who would you call? What would you say? What would you let go of? What resentment would seem ridiculous? What fear would seem small? What opportunity would you seize? That clarity, that's available to you right now, not because you're actually dying today, but because you might be, because you don't know how much time you have. This isn't morbid. This is the most life-affirming practice there is. When you live with awareness of death, you stop wasting life. You stop sweating small stuff. You stop holding back. You start showing up fully. You start taking risks. You start being honest. You start appreciating the miracle of each moment. You start living like someone who knows time is precious, because it is. Every single Stoic philosopher practiced this. They meditated on death daily, not because they were obsessed with dying, but because they were obsessed with living, really living. Not sleepwalking through existence, not postponing life until someday, living now, fully, intensely, gratefully. Look at your relationships. How would you treat people if you knew you, or they might be gone tomorrow? You'd probably be kinder, more patient, more loving. You'd say the things you've been holding back. You'd let go of the petty arguments. You'd appreciate them while you can. So do that, now. Not because death is coming tomorrow necessarily, but because it's coming. And you don't want to waste what time you have on anything less than love. Look at your work. If you had limited time, would you still be doing what you're doing? If not, why are you doing it? You don't have forever to figure it out. You don't have unlimited chances. You have now, this life, this opportunity. Use it or lose it. Look at your daily choices, the hours spent scrolling, the energy spent worrying, the time wasted on things you don't care about. Would you do that if you knew time was running out? Then stop doing it. Every moment you waste is a moment you'll never get back. Every day you sleepwalk through is a day gone forever. This is the ultimate Stoic practice. Live like you're dying because you are. We all are. The clock is ticking for every single one of us. The only difference is some of us are aware of it, and some of us are pretending we're not. Be aware. Let that awareness guide you. Let it clarify your priorities. Let it give you courage. Let it fill you with urgency and gratitude. When you live this way, when you truly embrace your mortality, fear dissolves. What's there to be afraid of? You're already dying. You might as well live boldly. Regret dissolves. You're not putting things off. You're doing them now. Resentment dissolves. Life's too short to hold grudges. Petty concerns dissolve. Who cares about minor embarrassments when you're mortal? And what remains is what matters. Love, growth, contribution, authenticity, courage. Living in alignment with your values. Being present. Appreciating beauty. Connecting deeply. These things rise to the surface when you remember you must die. These are what you'd care about if you knew time was short. So care about them now. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He had every reason to feel important, to feel like he had all the time in the world. But every day he reminded himself that he was just a man, that he would die, that his time was limited. And that awareness made him one of the wisest, most grounded, most virtuous leaders in history. Not despite contemplating death, because of it. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, before you sleep, imagine this was your last day. Really imagine it. Feel it. And ask yourself, did I live today the way I want to live? Did I treat people the way I want to be remembered treating them? Did I work on what matters? Did I waste my precious time? Let the answers guide tomorrow, and the next day, and every day after. You're not promised tomorrow. You're only promised now. This moment. Make it count. Live like the mortal you are. Live like time is precious because it is. Live like you're dying because you are. And in doing so, you'll finally start truly living. Write this truth. I am mortal, so I live fully now. So here we are, warrior. 10 principles. 10 laws that have survived thousands of years because they work. Because they transform human beings from reactive victims into conscious creators. From fragile creatures at the mercy of circumstances into unshakable forces of nature. But knowledge means nothing without action. You can watch this video, feel inspired, and then go back to the same patterns tomorrow. Or you can decide right now that something changes. That you're going to take these Stoic principles and actually live them. Not perfectly. You'll stumble. You'll forget. You'll fall back into old patterns. That's part of the process. But you'll keep coming back. You'll keep practicing. You'll keep building. Start with one principle. Just one. Maybe it's controlling your mind instead of trying to control the world. Maybe it's examining your emotions instead of being enslaved by them. Maybe it's practicing voluntary discomfort. Maybe it's living like you're dying. Pick one. Commit to practicing it every day for a week. Then add another. Build slowly. Build solidly. Because here's what happens when you actually live these principles. You become different. The chaos of the world continues, but it doesn't shake you. People's opinions swirl around you, but they don't define you. Obstacles appear, but you transform them into fuel. Loss comes, but you've already accepted impermanence. Fear whispers, but you've already faced death. The external circumstances of your life might not change, but you change. Your inner world becomes unshakable. And from that foundation, from that inner fortress, you move through life with a peace and power that nothing can touch. This is the Stoic promise. Not that life will be easy, not that you'll avoid pain, not that everything will go your way, but that you'll develop the capacity to handle anything. That you'll build a mind so strong, so clear, so disciplined that nothing can defeat you. That your peace won't depend on getting what you want, but on mastering how you respond to whatever you get. Epictetus was a slave. His body was broken. His circumstances were terrible, but his mind was free. His spirit was unshakable. He lived these principles in the worst possible conditions and became a beacon of wisdom that's still shining 2,000 years later. If he could do it, if he could find peace and power in slavery and suffering, what's your excuse? What circumstances are you using to justify staying weak? The path is here. The principles are clear. The choice is yours. Will you keep living reactively at the mercy of every emotion and external event? Or will you start the hard, beautiful work of mastering yourself? Will you keep making excuses? Or will you start making progress? Time is running out. Not someday, right now. Every second you delay is a second gone forever. Every day you put it off is a day you'll never get back. You don't have the luxury of waiting until you feel ready. You don't have the guarantee of tomorrow. You have this moment, this choice, this opportunity. So choose. Choose strength over comfort. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose growth over stagnation. Choose the Stoic path. Not because it's easy. It's not. But because it works. Because it transforms. Because it sets you free. Comment below which principle hit you hardest. Which one you're committing to practice first. Share your truth. Make your commitment public. That makes it real. And if this video helped you, if these principles gave you something valuable, share it. Pass it on. Someone in your life needs to hear this. Someone is struggling with the exact thing these Stoic truths address. Be the person who helps them wake up. Subscribe if you want more of this. More ancient wisdom applied to modern life. More truth that actually transforms instead of entertainment that just distracts. Hit the notification bell. Stay on this path with me, because this is just the beginning. There's so much more depth to explore, so much more strength to build, so much more wisdom to discover. But it all starts now, with this choice, with this moment, with you deciding that you're done being controlled by circumstances and ready to become unshakable. The Stoics are calling across the centuries. They're offering you a path that's been tested by emperors and slaves, by warriors and philosophers, by everyone who's ever faced difficulty and chosen to become stronger through it. The path is here. The question is, will you walk it? I'll see you on the journey, warrior. Keep walking the Stoic path. Keep building that inner fortress. Keep becoming the person nothing can shake. This is how you win. Not by controlling the world, but by mastering yourself. Now go, live these principles. Become unshakable. Your transformation starts now.